He had read 50 books on love. So when she cried, he handed her a flowchart of her emotional state. Her name was Chloe, and her face, usually bright and open, was clouded with real pain. She had just come home from work, her shoulders slumped after her boss had publicly taken credit for a project. Alex listened patiently, nodding at all the right moments, just as the communication manuals advised. He processed the data: betrayal, injustice, frustration. Then, he went to his desk. He returned not with a hug, but with a piece of paper. "Okay," he said, his voice calm and methodical. "Let's map this out. If we identify the core issue, we can build a strategic response." On the page was a diagram with boxes and arrows. Are you experiencing anger or disappointment? If it's anger, we can channel it into a formal complaint. If it's disappointment, we can work on emotional resilience exercises. Chloe stared at the paper, then back at his face, her tears stopping instantly. The silence in the room grew heavy, thick with a question he could not find in any of his books. His internal antagonist, the cold, hard logic that had earned him success in every other part of his life, told him he was being helpful. But her eyes told a different story. He had a choice: drop the chart and just hold her, or double down on his method. He chose his method. "You see," he continued, pointing a finger at a box, "the problem is not the event, but your reaction to it." She did not say a word. She just took the flowchart from his hand, folded it neatly in half, and placed it on the coffee table. "I am not a problem to be solved, Alex," she whispered. Then came the twist he never predicted. "I'm staying at my sister's tonight." He let her go. His books taught that providing space during conflict was a sign of emotional maturity. He spent the evening refining the flowchart, adding more variables and potential outcomes. He sent it to her in a perfectly composed email with the subject line, "An optimized path through your recent workplace trauma." He was trying to fix the situation, but every action was guided by the same flawed logic. Her reply was a single word: stop. The next day, he bought her favorite flowers, a specific type of lily mentioned on page 87 of The Science of Happy Relationships. He left them at her sister's doorstep with a note explaining the neurochemical benefits of floral scents on mood. He was met with a text from her sister: "Please leave her alone." His spiral accelerated. He was a man with 1,000 proven theories, yet none of them worked. He tried to analyze his failure, creating spreadsheets of their past arguments, looking for patterns. But the data yielded no comfort. The more he tried to fix things from a distance with logic, the wider the gap between them grew. The ultimate defeat came a week later. He saw a picture on social media: Chloe and her sister, laughing at a cafe. She looked lighter, happier than she had in months. It was a brutal, public confirmation of his failure. He was the only variable that had been removed from her equation for happiness. That night, his apartment, usually a sanctuary of knowledge and order, felt like a prison. The books on his shelves seemed to mock him in their silence. He was desperate. He decided the only way forward was to understand her, truly understand her. He began packing a box of her things to send over, a gesture recommended in Navigating a Conscious Uncoupling. As he emptied her bedside table, his fingers brushed against a small, leather-bound notebook. Her journal. His mind screamed that it was an invasion of privacy, but a stronger, more desperate voice told him it was the key. Here, finally, was the raw data he needed to understand her perspective. He thought he had found the answer, the one book that would explain everything. He opened it, his heart pounding, expecting pages filled with her frustrations about him, about their arguments, about the flowchart. He was ready to face her anger. But what he found was far more shocking. It was worse than anger. It was indifference. She wrote about her work, her dreams of opening a small bakery, her funny conversations with her sister, the plot of a TV show she was watching. He was barely mentioned. He was not the villain in her story, he was a footnote, a dry, factual detail in her life. Alex brought home groceries today. Alex is reading a new book. There was no passion, no anger, no love. The final entry, from the day she left, was the blow that broke him. Told Alex about work. He made a diagram. I realized I have not felt seen in years. It's not that I do not love him. It's that I do not think he knows how. He had thought her problem was a boss at work. But the real problem was him, and she had already emotionally checked out long before she walked out the door. He was at his lowest point, a man who knew everything except the one thing that mattered. Sitting on the floor, surrounded by her ghost, he felt utterly empty. The flowchart lay on his desk, a monument to his failure. And then he saw it. Tucked into the back pocket of her journal was a different kind of paper. It was not a diagram, it was a silly caricature she had drawn of them 2 years ago on their first anniversary. In it, they were stick figures, holding hands, with ridiculously oversized smiles. There were no notes, no analysis, just a simple, joyful feeling captured in ink. That was it. That was the answer. Love was not a complex system to be managed, it was a simple drawing, a shared smile, a hand to hold. His profound insight was that he had spent years collecting knowledge about the container, but he had never bothered to taste the water inside. He stood up and made a final decision. He took the 50 books on love from his shelves and packed them into a box. He took the flowcharts and spreadsheets and deleted them from his computer. Then, he took a single piece of paper and a pen. He did not write an analysis or an apology strategy. He wrote 3 words, "You were right." He put the note in an envelope with the caricature she had drawn and mailed it to her. He did not know if she would reply, and for the first time, he did not need to know the outcome. His arrogance, his true antagonist, had been defeated by a simple stick figure drawing. Weeks later, he sat in a park, not reading, just watching the world. His phone buzzed. It was a picture from Chloe. No words. It was the caricature he had sent her, now framed and hanging on a wall. Below it, a new drawing was taped, a stick figure Alex, throwing a flowchart into a trash can. And for the first time, he did not try to analyze what it meant. He just smiled.